So you know, this is two separate races. You know, they don't usually do this. There's one race and then a second race. So I'm in the January 3rd term, which is totally separate than the race Anthony Traficani's in. And I say that because, you know, I'm the only one whose name doesn't end in a vowel. So it's difficult being German, English, and Irish, you know, and getting elected in Mahoney County. But I'm proud to serve with Anthony and Carol Rigetti as a board of 3 as a county commissioner. I've had that privilege for 12 years. And we've done an amazing job in 12 years trying to represent the people and spend their money wisely. The most often asked question I get is, what does the county commissioner do and what are his responsibilities? And I tell everyone, you know, we're basically the chief executive officers, 3 on a board of 3 of your $300 million corporation. We're the second largest employer in Mahoney County, second only to Mercy Health. We have 1,500 full-time employees. We have 47 separate departments, 31 countywide elected officials, trying to deal with that many elected officials, and 25 labor contracts that we negotiate, healthcare contracts, $25 million a year, $25 million a year. We negotiate labor contracts, and collectively, all those departments and those employees do an amazing job serving the 240,000 residents in Mahoney County. And our responsibility is make sure they're funded. So it's difficult because as a board of 3, you have a lot of different ideas, a lot of different input, but we work collectively and collaboratively with all elected officials. That's why that we've been able to have such a smooth transition throughout all of our budget hearings and everything that we do collectively, because we have to partner with labor, with private industry, and with government. And it only works if you work together as a board, as a team. Thank you. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for being here tonight. Thank you, Pastor. Thank you, everyone. You know, Mr. Traficani talked about the role of the county commissioner. Mr. Dissel over here said what a great responsibility it is. Well, when you hire somebody for that job, you better know his character. Just a brief synopsis of what happened here. I ran 2 years ago against Carol Rigetti. I lost by 130 votes. There was 3 recounts. On the final recount, Carol Rigetti saw a friend of mine who had just gotten a job with the county because he had bladder cancer. He had to give up his job. So he took a job with the county because it had great insurance, great worker, everybody praised his work. Well, Mrs. Rigetti, or Mr. Rigetti, saw him sitting next to me. Went up to him after the final recount. They said, "You win by 130 votes, Carol." She goes up to him and says, "Who are you? You look familiar." He said who he was. He says, "My name is Ricky Morrison. I work in the courthouse." Well, 2 days later, he was fired. Fired from his job for sitting next to me. Now, they could say whatever they want, and Mr. Traficani testified. There was testimony. Mr. Dissler said it never happened. The fact of the matter is, he got his job back. He talked to the prosecutor. They put him back to work because it was wrong. Took it to court. It was a civil rights violation to try to put their foot on the throat of a guy with cancer because of who he supported. It was a First Amendment violation for putting their foot on the throat of a man with cancer because he supported me. I'm not a politician. I'll never be a politician. I want to serve you. There's 3 people here asking you for your vote tonight. I say you have to look at a person's character and how they treat other people, let alone how they would treat your money and what they're doing for you. And I hope we get some great questions, because I got a lot of stuff on economic development. I have a lot of stuff on a lot of things. But you need to know what he did to that man, suffering from cancer. You need to know. Thank you.
This is a question for Mr. DeFabio.
Yes, sir.
So I'm going to give you that opportunity. And basically, you're running against Mr. Dissler, his record has been lost. What would you change? What would be your approach to operating county government if you were elected?
Well, number one, I would respect all our employees and the job they do. There's obviously a problem with Jobs and Family Services when you have 40 people a day calling off. So that's putting extra pressure on the people that are there to do the job with 40 less people. That's putting undue burdens on our residents, the customers waiting. I would absolutely look at the way we go about how we spend our money and what we support and what we don't. You know, the county commissioner, Mr. Dissler's right. I knocked on doors for the last 3 years and I've talked to people. And they said, well, who's my commissioner now? That's a problem. That's a problem that you got 3 county commissioners, you're paying over probably $110,000. I don't know what the wage is. They get their PERS and they get their benefits. Plus you have an administrator and you don't know what they do for you. That's a problem. It's a problem when the government, the taxpayers are the second largest employer in the county. That to me is a problem. We're not doing it right. We're not doing something right. We have to do better and we will.
Is that just for the?
No, that was just for Mr.
Why can't I?
He wants to unseat you. And my question was, why should we vote for him? And he was giving
I want to respond to some of his remarks that are on.
We have a debate, Pastor?
What debate? No debate.
What is this?
We're going to have the panelists ask the questions and then the candidates respond. So is there a question for Mr. Dixon?
Yes.
Look at Anthony.
This is for Mr. Dissler and then for Mr. Traficant. Are the commissioners considering putting the clerk of courts in Austintown or anywhere else except Oak Hill?
No. Easy answer. Nothing that's currently in the city of Youngstown we want moved out of the city of Youngstown. In fact, we've got a lot of things, moving parts going on right now because we're looking to try and build a new morgue and a facility on the Oak Hill site currently. We're going through feasibility studies to build a new JFS facility on land where we could either tear down the parking deck or put it into the 4 acres that's adjacent to the facility. So, no, we're not looking at moving any of the facilities currently in the city of Youngstown out of the city of Youngstown. And I think Dan DeSenza has done an amazing job by doing courier service back and forth to the different automotive dealers in the 2 different communities. But one response to that, we're a board of 3. Nobody makes a decision independently, and we only govern through resolution. We can't do anything without a vote in a public meeting through resolution. We can't hire, we can't fire. The board of 3 votes. We never voted to fire anyone.
That's why it was stopped. Yeah.
Thank you very much. My answer is no. I'm the guy that fought for the Oak Hill Renaissance Center, and I'm still getting my head beat in about that building. You know, I was threatened when that happened about taking the jobs out of the city and moving them to the old Sam's Club in Boardman. I actually was charged and had to go to court to defend the county and the city to keep those jobs and move people out of Garland Avenue into the Oak Hill Renaissance Center. Now, we've owned that building. We have invested in that building. We've kept all those people here. Audrey Morales is here. That building, give her a hand. You know, she runs one of the best agencies in the county. She has received rewards and everything. We do our best. Not everything is great up at the Oak Hill Renaissance Center, but let me just say this. I don't want any businesses leaving. If we do something as a board of 3, which we get along very well, I want to utilize that campus that's already there. Why would I want to go out and buy land somewhere else and rebuild? We could do something there and build a new facility right there on the south side. Yeah. That's what I want to do. I'm only one, but that's my sales pitch. Keep the businesses in the city of Youngstown that the county has. Thank you.
Next question.
This question is for all candidates. The restructuring of the federal oversight and regulations under Project 2025 could shift more responsibility to local governments. How do you plan to manage this increased responsibility and ensure that your county remains well supported and governed effectively?
You wanna go first?
Well, we've been dealing with the state and the federal government pushing all the responsibilities down on the local government forever. You know, so it's not a revelation to hear something like that. Obviously, you know, one thing I would say, because there's a lot of false narratives spewed out there about financing. You know, we pay 7.5% sales tax. 76% of it the state takes, 76%. We run the whole county on 1.25%. So when you talk about how they spend your money, it goes to justice. The state has taken million upon millions upon millions off of local government. That's why we're all doing more, we're paying more levies. That's why the property taxes have gone through the roof. The state legislature has not addressed any of their responsibilities, but all you hear people talking about is pennies. They step over dollars to pick up pennies in their narrative when they're running for office for political gain and political gain alone. So if you spend the dollars that the state takes away from us, or stop them from taking the dollars off of us, we could resolve all the issues that the 2025 plan brings down, and anything else in Mahoning County, because we've done a great job from a financial standpoint at being very frugal for your tax dollars.
Thank you.
First of all, there's a lot of talk about that 2025. That's not from the government. That's not from anybody. That was an initiative that people put out. And people are trying to make it seem like that's gospel. That's the Republican platform. That's not.
Quiet. No response from the audience. Allow the candidate to.
Pastor, I'm used to this. I got this before. It's fine. That's not the Republican platform. That's a tool they want to use against it. Number one. Number two, I can predict what Mr. Vince was going to say because I've heard it 100 times. We collect the state's sales tax and then they take back all this money. Well, he says, what is it, 60%?
76%.
No. How much do you usually say comes from outside the area?
Enter the question.
The sales tax. You say
We just
it's
want
like
you to
60%?
respond to the
Okay, whatever
question.
the number is, comes from outside of the area. Well, we pay 100% of that. And the money the state takes, that's the state's sales tax. I'm so tired of hearing that. I'm so tired of hearing the state comes in and takes your money. That's the tax that we collect for the state. They're not taking it. It would behoove our commissioners to actually work with the state legislature more, not hold a press conference and say how rotten they are. That doesn't get you anything. You know, I work at a shop. When something comes in broke, we can't all argue about it and pound our fists and say it's broke. We stop and we fix it. I'm a working guy. I'm not a politician. I don't talk like that. I don't think like that. If you have a problem, you solve it.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Is that for all three? Mr. Traficani, you can respond.
See if I can't put this into a context. As local governments, we are basically held hostage by the federal government and the state government. As a county commissioner, we are mandated by whatever the ORC states that we can and we cannot do with the money. We had some leeway when we got the ARPA funds that we're able to reinvest those dollars back into community businesses, minority businesses, back into the community. But other than that, we have no choice. We have to deal and hopefully get along with what the federal government brings down upon us and work with our state elected officials, which I feel we have a good relationship with, to see what the trend is. You know, that hollow log theory, when you hear it, what direction is it coming from? And then we have to react because they can basically control outside of our sales tax money that you so graciously give us, and we gotta fund the jail which is over $24 million a year, okay? We're mandated to do those things. So we are held hostage, and we're always having to react to what the federal government tells us that we can and cannot do.
Next question. Any other questions?
Since the county is the second largest employer in Mahoning County, how many employees, that obviously this question goes to Mr. Tropicana and Mr. Disler, put the other one into your name since you say you only have. How many employees do you have, and then we'll break down where they are, hospital. So how many employees do you guys have?
Hospital.
No, how many employees, period? How many employees?
There's probably somewhere between 1,450 and 1,500 full-time employees, with probably about 200 part-time employees working for Mahoning County. But, you know, they do work for the county, but they work for various office holders. You know, the commissioners, we have our own departments. We are our own appointing authority to those departments. But the treasurer, the auditor, the prosecutor, the sheriff, they hire their own people. The county road engineer, okay, the sanitary department is ours, department that we do appoint, facilities department, which takes care of close to, if not shy of, 1 million square feet of real estate that we have invested in this community. So those employees serve in those various capacities.
Now, before you sit down, since we have that many employees, how many of those employees are minorities?
I wish I could give you a direct number, but I will tell you this. Over the last 10 years, we have been so proactive in appointing and hiring African Americans, Hispanic Americans in county government. This Board of Commissioners have made the departments very diverse. Audrey Morales is one of the highest paid department heads here. She runs a huge agency. Millions of dollars go through there. Audrey Tillis, our county administrator, is here somewhere, or did she leave? There she is. Audrey is probably the highest ranking person in county government that makes a ton of decisions for us. And we have been very proactive in appointing African American on various boards in this community that does a lot with social service agencies, Children's Services Board. We have appointed African Americans. We have made it very diverse. Now, I can't speak to the other department heads, but I can tell you what we've done in our office, and we're going to continue to do that. Is it perfect? No, but it's a heck of a lot better, and I can attest to that. But I can't give you any percentages. That would not be fair to do that.
Now, the other question, your outside money, the amount of money you spend with outside contractors and business folks, what amount of money is that?
Oh, that's in the millions. And, you know, when we get back with Audrey Morales, you know, she has transportation contracts in the millions of dollars that come through jobs and family services. We get intergovernmental money through various sources of the state and federal government that we get all the time for various programs. We do get a lot of grants. The prosecutor's office gets grants, the county commissioner's office gets grants, and then of course we have projects that we put out there for bid for any public project that Mahoning County is either going to build or renovate. We're doing a lot of that. And a lot of those contracts are let out for sanitary sewer. We're already over $50 million this year in sanitary sewer projects inside Mahoning County. So it's very vast, and it's in the millions of dollars.
Mr. Disler to respond to that as well.
One more question, final question.
Is that to both
No,
candidates?
say, yeah, well, I think.
Good, I got the valve.
Yeah,
I'm here,
yeah,
go
yeah,
ahead.
you're right.
Let's get it going, come on.
So how do you make sure that with all those contracts, you sort of spread the wealth around, considering what is happening with the DEI
Right.
since the Supreme? How do you make sure that we in the community, we get a little cut of that?
Well, that's it. Look, we're an equal employment opportunity. Diversity, equity, inclusion is definitely something that we do and that we work on every single day. Issue is, We're mandated by what the state tells us we can do. Every project or contract we have is a public contract. Anybody can bid on those contracts. Now, if you have federal contracts for federal money, there are certain set-asides that involve minority contractors and minority hiring. The state can loosen those grips on the commissioners and give us a little bit of authority to work to change that or modify it. But we try to make sure every penny we reinvest back into this community has always been, in my eyes, getting everybody a taste of the pizza. Okay? And I think we have done that. All that ARPA money we got, we reinvested in social programs. The people that are poor, people who are hurting, to feed people. We have done it through United Way that has a various outlay of programs to get money. So I'm proud of that.
Yes.
Pastor King, did my mic okay?
We want Mr. Dixon to respond.
Well, as always, Anthony's always a tough act to follow, but accurate. You know, we have 17 of the departments that are directly responsible under the county commissioners of the 47. And we do everything within our feasibility and possibility to make sure that we're trying to make Mahoney County government what the community is in the same population. And we go out of our way to make sure that we try to be as diverse as possible. And like Anthony said, you know, our highest ranking individuals and director levels are predominantly women and minorities. And they do an amazing job for us. And I say all the time, even when my wife's, to my wife as well, that I love having them all working for me because they do an excellent job. But I don't think I could ever work for them because they work me too hard. So anyway, but you know, it's difficult to try and push that pendulum, but we do it every day, trying to make sure that the minority population is served. And also with our 2050 plan that we have, our Valley Vision, the partnership in Mahoney County, one of the initiatives that we're doing currently right now is to make sure that we bring people to the city, that we advertise and promote the culture and the history of the city, and we're doing everything to promote minority businesses as part of that, as part of the 2050 plan and the seeds that we're planting for the future for the next 25 years.
Thank you. Other questions?
I've got a question for Mr. DeFabio, and then I have a question for you and Mr. Traficant. So the question for Mr. DeFabio is, okay, you've heard all of this. What are you going to do when you're elected? What are you going to do to either improve or make a change in the way the county government, if given the opportunity?
Given the opportunity, and I would be greatly blessed with all your votes, I'm going to bring back more to the county than gas stations and dollar stores. That seems to be what we get. I mean, my opponent constantly says, oh, we get $250 million a year in investment. Well, according to the chamber, there's $4.6 billion invested in the last 4 years. Mahoney County has got pennies of that and crumbs. We have to do better. When our city outlaws or puts a moratorium on car washes and dollar stores, something's wrong. We're building too many of them. There's not a lot of good careers in that. You know what I'm saying? When Boardman says we'll have no more storage facilities, car washes, and there was something else. We're not doing something right. We're not doing enough to help the community. The fact that the taxpayer of Mahoney County is the second largest employer in the county is a problem that speaks volumes. And we have to do more. We rely on the Western Reserve Trade, or not the Western Reserve Trade, but the Port Authority to be our arm for helping, you know, bring in companies and everything. That's great. But what would hurt the commissioners being out there and bringing in and talking to people and bringing in deals? We have a Convention and Visitors Bureau that I watched the meeting. The new head of the Convention and Visitors Bureau read a report somebody else read, and they threw praises on her for 2 days. What a great job you did. She read somebody else's report. We have to showcase what we have here. We're a great, diverse community. We're a great community. We have all the transportation we need. We can't have the power. We're having more power built, sadly, in Lordstown and not in Mahoning County. But we have everything here that we need to grow, and we just haven't moved because I think leadership is lacking.
All right. The question to the,
Yes, this is for Mr. Disler and Mr. Trafficani. If Oak Hill is staying, and this is from the public, if Oak Hill is staying and you want to keep business in the city, why does the Board of Elections want to move out of Oak Hill?
I'm not aware that the Board of Elections wants to move out of Oak Hill, so that's never been discussed with our board. So, I can't answer that. We need to do a better job with parking and accessibility and getting people in and out. And maybe when we do a renovation downtown with another facility for Jobs and Family Services and for the morgue, that we can address portions of the building to be better accessible, but there's no intentions to move the Board of Elections. And one comment I'd like to make, it's unfathomable to criticize a lot of the projects, because if you look at economic development that's gone on, just in the last 24 months alone, there's been 15 projects completed, $170 million in investment, and 500 new jobs, and those are all industry jobs. There's another 200 million that'll be closing in the next year. If you look at the 41 projects that have been in Mahoning County that are industrial jobs and not retail establishments, we've got a payroll of $105 million, retained jobs of 2,700, and new jobs of 2,500. So, it's unconscionable to come and throw false narratives out there and make negativity against the county, because the sad thing is we only have one opportunity to vote on taxes for all of us to pay, and we vote on, the only tax that we vote on is the justice tax in Mahoning County. We don't get a chance to vote on that state tax. They impose it on you. And the justice tax, I've heard my opponent say that he wants to vote on it every 5 years. But you know what? Every 5 years, if you get a rogue individual that does things like that and it gets defeated, that's 80% of the justice funding. 80%.
thank you.
I just have one final question for Mr. Fabio.
One final question, okay.
How has your private sector work experience prepared you to perform the duties of the Oak County Commission?
Thank you for that question. It certainly has. Like I said earlier, in the private sector, where I work, and I'm sure many of you have or do now, you can't just push a problem down the road. You can't just say, well, somebody will fix it, or wait, let me get more money. You have to finish the problem. Press conferences fix nothing. Saying that you're upset with something, well, we're going to have a press conference, we'll fix it. Saying there's an ambulance problem we talked about 2 years ago in this community. Just about every community around here is going back to raise taxes. Well, the commissioner said they were going to form a group and they were going to figure it out. We have to regionalize our ambulance service. That's the only solution. However we do that, I'll work on that. We'll get people together. Nursing homes, their nursing home needs them to get their patients back and forth. If you're having a heart attack, you might not get an ambulance, and that's unacceptable in a county such as ours. It's unacceptable. But just saying we're going to have a meeting is not solving the problem. It never does. It never has. We have to finish. We actually have to do the job. We can't. Now, he says I'm bad-mouthing the development we have. That's not what I did. I understand.
It's qualifications. The question is qualifications. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Yes, this question is for all the candidates.
Last question.
Mahoning County's aging, infrastructure has been a growing concern.
Yeah.
How will you or are you prioritizing the infrastructure projects, and what funding sources will you tap to ensure long-term improvements?
That's a great question. Can I go first?
You can go first.
Thank you, since I'm
You have
here.
1 minute.
I got the mic set, okay. We have to spend our tax dollars judiciously. They're hard-earned. With inflation and everything else, we can't waste our tax dollars on issues. Now, to be 100% transparent, I went before the Western Reserve Trade Council. I asked for their endorsement. They said, where do you stand on PLAs? I had no idea what a PLA was. I said, I don't know what it is. Well, they explained about half of what it was. Well, what a PLA is a bid, document they put in a contract that they're bidding out with only Mahoney County funds. Well, I know that there's 2 projects that they rejected a bid that would have saved you all $443,000 on. But they rejected it because the companies refused to sign on to a PLA. They finally did force someone into signing it. But that's wrong. That's not right. You shouldn't do that. That's your money. Just like the $175,000 that Mr. Disler said that, oh, that didn't cost us anything. That was insurance money. That was your money. That was your insurance. Your insurance went up because of his misdeeds.
1 minute, I'll just explain.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
It's your money, people, please.
Mr. Ditzler, you have the opportunity to respond.
Fantastic. We right now, Anthony started to tell you about it, we've got $107 million that we've allocated in the last 4 years on 65 projects that are being done for infrastructure for the sanitary engineer and the county engineer. And the lion's share of them are all non-union companies that won bids. A project labor agreement does not mandate labor to be union labor. Anyone can bid on it. And he's dead wrong what he just said about costing the taxpayers money. Because that, Rudzik turned down the bid at $500,000, and Bova, the second bid, was $11,000 different. They accepted the bid, another non-union company, and they're in the process of doing it right now. So it didn't cost the taxpayers anything, because the bond that was put up for the first bid had to pay the difference in between. So we put it out. Project labor agreements are few and far between. We've had 10 years of contracts with only 6 of them that were initiated, 6. Mostly government buildings for state-of-the-art work on the courthouse and different things of that nature. And I can tell you one thing that I'll go to the grave convinced of: if the Realty building had a PLA in it, there wouldn't have been some scrapper cutting the building, and there wouldn't be any nobody dead in the city. So that PLA would have protected the worker on that. So
Thank you. No response, please. Next, Mr. Traficani, you can answer the question.
One of the things that's very pervasive in an aging population, and particularly in aging infrastructure. This is something that isn't new to the county, and it's something that isn't new to the city of Youngstown. We all need to be reinvesting back into our infrastructure. When you flush your toilet, you want it to go away, right? That's what we do at the Mahoney County Sanitary Engineer. We are mandated by the EPA. Every day they're crawling around, they're taking water samples from our plants. We're doing huge expansions. We're doing one out at Lake Milton, and we're looking at upgrading the one here in Boardman. We did an elimination of the wastewater treatment plant in Springfield Township because there was not enough flow. We're putting $18 million+ in pump station and sewer lines to take the waste from New Middletown clear down to the Boardman treatment plant, and that causes you to put more pump stations to lift the waste and take it out. We're also doing $20 million in Western Reserve Road widening because we have to, alleviate the traffic on 224. So these things are in place. Some have PLAs, some are not. You know, we try not to discriminate that, but we do have and support PLAs from Mahoney County.
Thank you. Give these candidates a great round of applause. I think they did well.